Davante Adams, New York Jets, a lot of Jet fans, and some of the players even on the team seem to be a fan. But it's everyone. Let's find out.
Zoinks! But it is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rodgers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Hey, everybody, welcome to a Saturday edition of Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green, and more Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams potential reunion, and we've got some of that jazz to discuss here on the show, and welcome to the channel. Light up the chat with your questions and comments. Also have the phone lines open, but it's a special day in the week because, of course, it's time for my father. A little hop on pop action. You can see him always, on my screen up there. It's nice, but now let's get the real thing here on the program. Eston Zone joins us. What's up, Father?
Good morning, Coffee Club.
Ah, there you go. Very nice. Well done. Well done. We're working on some fun stuff behind the scenes, so people keep it coming. And we do have a bunch of emojis so you guys can feel free to use. A lot have been unlocked, and some stories will be told today. I'm certain of it. So, Pop, I don't know if you've heard some of the chatter, but, this was a conversation, of course, last year because the Jets, according to multiple reports, attempted to trade for Davante Adams at the trade deadline. At that point in time, Josh McDaniels and Ziegler at the time were the GM combination there in Vegas, and they declined the Jets' advances for a trade. And then, obviously, they didn't trade for him last year. But Adam Schefter came out shortly after the deadline, said the Jets would try again and would be aggressive about it the upcoming offseason. We're almost near the end of the offseason because training camp's about to start. So this is not the first time we've heard Jets Davante Adams, and it's picking up some more steam this week, Pop.
Yeah. Why? Right. So this is a great topic for the offseason. It's getting exciting. Like rookies report this week coming up, I believe, on the 18th.
That's true.
So, there's a lot of excitement and buzz in the air. So but this is something that wouldn't even, Aaron Rodgers said what he said. He's,
I have that clip actually. Let's get to it. We'll have a couple of clips on today's show. Aaron Rodgers was at the Lake Tahoe event, the celebrity golf tournament he participates in every year. And as he's walking from hole to hole, a media member approaches him, and Aaron Rodgers stoked the flames with a little bit of this. Roll the footage.
What's up? Do you think Luke Getsy's going to utilize Davante Adams good in the new Raiders offense?
I love Luke Getsy. He's a fantastic coach.
Awesome.
And I love Davante. I can't wait to play with him again.
Great. Love to hear it.
Yeah.
How's your game today? How you hitting him?
Good. Harris.
I will take it off there, but that's the quote. I can't wait to play with Davante Adams. Pause. Again.
Yeah. He's just messing around. Like when he was going to be the vice presidential candidate for the independent party. Right. There's so many reasons why this makes no sense in any way. So it's a great thing that we're going to talk about this morning, but reality needs to settle in. This is, in general, you give a Jets fan something like this, you had that guy chained in the basement, right? That you hand lotion to with a bucket. And you're like, he sees a ray of sunlight. Right. So they gets all excited, right? This is a ridiculous topic because it makes no sense.
I see. Well, you're not the only one who feels that way, by the way. Some of the other people on ESPN went to it. We'll get to them in a little bit. But to some other players, naturally. So I will be honest. The very first, obviously, Aaron Rodgers brought this up of his own accord. That reporter didn't ask him anything about Davante Adams in terms of like playing with him or anything like that. It was something about him and the Raiders offensive Luke Getsy, which is a former coach of Rodgers, and he brought that up of his own accord. But Davante Adams has been doing media because he's in the show, the new Netflix show. I've not seen it yet. I'm hoping to see some of it this weekend. Receiver. And there's some frustration. I've seen clips of Adams frustrated because it followed him around last year. That's basically what the show is. It follows around a bunch of players in the NFL, pillar to post last year. And there's been some frustration from Davante Adams' side. And he was asked about a potential Aaron Rodgers combination. I saw it on the Kay Adams show, Up in Adams. And he said, as much as we could talk about, and he did confirm that Rodgers has continued to be in his ear about potentially playing again together. And I would assume that's obviously on the New York Jets. He said, I'm a Raider. Like, it's not just as easy as, kind of wishing it into existence. I'm a Raider is basically what he said. So thus, players have been asked and responding on the team about the Davante Adams stuff. Here's another one. Speaking of Up and Adams, Breece Hall was on the show yesterday, and he's a big fan.
You say you're going to be Aaron Rodgers' best friend. I love that you're saying you're going to touch the ball other than other than him more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Then enter Davante Adams potentially. Are you seeing this stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, are you going to be competing with touches with Davante?
Nah, I'm getting the ball the second most regardless. Davante, he knows he's going to get his, but I'm definitely going to be.
I'm sorry. Is Davante a Jet?
Hey, you never know. You never know. We're always talking. We're always scheming.
Listen. Yes, there we go. I said that you guys should maybe go all in.
Yeah,
and make a big addition. You think we should?
I'm on board.
What would Davante bring to the team?
I mean, with him and then with Garrett and Mike Williams.
I was going to say, good thing you mentioned Garrett. I don't know if he likes this stuff.
Just pick your poison. Do you want me to beat you or do you want those three to beat you with Aaron? It's just pick your poison.
Pick your poison.
Yeah. By the way, respect to the NWO Hollywood Hogan shirt. That's too sweet.
Yeah.
Too sweet, if you will. So what are they going to say? It's like when, and I'm not talking about anybody in general, but every male on this phone, when their girlfriend, new chick they're taking out on a date, wife, whatever, and they come up to you and they go, "Hey, do I look fat in this dress?" There's only one answer. And so when the people stick a microphone in people's faces or on some show, they're trying to make money for themselves, and they go, "Hey, would you like Davante Adams?" What are they going to say? Similar to the other thing, would you mind somebody not coming to mandatory training camp? What are you going to say? There's only one answer, right? And so there's very few people, Aaron Rodgers being one of them, you get to put a mic in his face and he gets to make some quip that causes this whole stir. But I could break down at least 4 reasons, crushing analytics of why this is just a bad idea.
Okay, before you do, here's one more player. I'll just read the quote. Garrett Wilson was at his youth camp, so I don't have a video, just a quote here. And he said, Garrett Wilson told Brian Costello that I see that. He's referencing the Davante Adams noise on social media. I see it. I'm excited. I'm with all of it. Anyone we could get into the facility to help this team win games, I'm with it. And he's one of those guys, saying Davante Adams. So there you go. Another juicy quote, baby.
Yeah, that's the most disingenuous quote that you will hear. That makes that that's what he's saying. But there's that Mel Gibson movie a while back where you could actually hear what people were thinking as opposed to what they were saying. And when he's saying that, he's like, "There's no effing way I want Davante Adams on this team.
Okay.
No way." So,
well,
but
let's
we
get
can
into your breakdowns. Yeah. Why you are not a fan.
So let's talk about. We'll start with the salary cap. Okay. The salary cap. The Jets are in phenomenal shape right now when it comes to wide receiver ratio of the salary cap being taken up by their players. Right. They're in a good scenario of the future. They're in a good scenario of the all-in philosophy with Mike Williams, right? They make up a fraction. It's less than 5% of their salary cap as wide receivers. And so if you bring in Davante Adams, which would be a huge mistake, and we'll go through other reasons why, he would more than triple the contribution of the wide receiver. He's due $25 million this year on what is now, is for a top tier number one wide receiver is cheap, but $25 million hit this year, last year of guaranteed money is not a lot of moving around to do. And if he comes over, you're going to have to do a lot of things. So salary cap wise, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Right now, the Jets have it's hard to track it down. You probably have exactly. They're about $9 million under the cap, I think, in that ballpark.
Yeah, 6 to 9, somewhere in there. Yep.
Yeah, so $6 to $9 million under the cap. So cap wise, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And then before I leave the cap space, what are you doing? Davante Adams is not a rental. Like Hassan Reddick, you rent him, you try him on for size. Maybe you have a 30-day lemon law guarantee. You can bring him back to the dealership. Davante Adams is probably going to get him, and to make him happy, you're going to have to restructure his contract. You're going to have to restructure his contract to make it work.
Right. Yes, you'd have to restructure it to work.
And so to make it work, and then now you've got him longer, right? And so the bottom line is, I know that Jets fans are excited about this year. And I would say they've done some great work about looking ahead to the future with the drafting and some of the things that they've done. But this would be counterproductive, because how much are you going to pay in 2025 and 2026 wide receivers? Because Garrett Wilson's going to get his money, right? And he's going to get his money. Are you going to give two wide receivers $25 to $30 million a season? No, you're not. No, you're not. So money-wise, it makes zero sense. Okay, so that's just off the top. We're about to go other reasons why it makes no sense. But before I leave that, how does that hit you?
Yeah, I think there might be only two teams off the top of my head. I'm going to have to double check the numbers here in a second that may have receivers that are in that category. I'd imagine that's Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown, who both just got paid this offseason, and Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. I believe those are the ones. I'm going to double check highest paid wide receivers in the NFL right now and over the cap to confirm those numbers. But that would be off the top of my head if we have two in that ballpark. Yes. So we've got, that's perfect. A.J. Brown is making, excuse me. A.J. Brown's making $32 million a year. That's second best in the NFL. Devonta Smith's at $25 million. So he's one of those. And also, I guess I got the other one right too. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Tyreek Hill's making $30 million a year, and Jalen Waddle is $28.25 million a year. So it looks like selectively, I think those are the only two I can see here on the list that are in that category. Yeah. So those are the two teams.
Right. And so what does it look like? Are you not going to pay Garrett Wilson, who has a long runway ahead of him, or are you gonna, so it's a mess. It just makes no sense salary cap wise. All right.
Okay. But how does it hit me? I guess it depends on the money situation. Yesterday, we saw Jalen Brunson help the New York Knicks by taking less now than he could later, so it helps the team. If
Does Davante Adams strike you as someone that's going to take a team discount? Does he? No, he doesn't.
Well,
no.
So it would depend, because to your point, right? So there's only guaranteed money left in Davante Adams' contract for this year. So in theory, you could get him as a quote rental for this year, and at the end of the year reevaluate. Because what if the Rodgers thing is over, or if he's coming back, then you could trade him again to somebody else and recoup some of the value.
Yeah. So the money makes no sense. The Jets have a few things to show up. Money makes no sense. Right.
Okay.
We'll go on to talent wise. Does it make sense? Is it a need? And I actually broke this down from two different avenues. Okay. Unlike Tyreek Hill, who uses Madden to help scout film, which is a great idea.
Love Madden.
No, I love Madden. And I'm actually my next discussion point is around Madden. I think it's ridiculous for a wide receiver to look at tape for a cornerback and their reaction in a video game. But what I will say Madden does well is the rankings of players. So I went and dug into the rankings of players in Madden for wide receivers for 2025. And and so that, but I'm going to start at the bottom. I wasn't going to start here, but I'm going to start here. So I'm going to describe a wide receiver analytics from Madden. This player has their skill set is deep threat archetype. I may be archetype. His other best receiving attributes are spectacular catch with acceleration and toughness. So deep threat, spectacular catch, acceleration and toughness. That sounds like somebody you got to have on your team. That sounds like the perfect slot receiver. And do you know who that is?
No.
Alan Lazard.
Oh, God.
That is the rating of Alan Lazard. So not to start, just put that in perspective. Alan Lazard has a higher reception, yards per reception average than Davante Adams. Just let that soak in. Let that soak in. Right?
I'm gonna look that up. That can't be right.
100%. Listen, don't challenge me. He has a full yard per catch average better, 0.9. Just so when you get done looking it up, but you got to get into these details. You got to do your research. 13.3 for Alan Lazard, 12.4 for Davante Adams. Anyways,
geez.
That's a yard. No,
Yeah,
is that a yard?
I guess. Yeah, but
you guess that's a yard? Anyways, I'm moving on. So, anyways,
but what about the sample size? Davante Adams 872 catches, Lazard 192. We're dealing with a couple of different sample size there. Isn't it a little easy with less stuff to work with to have a higher yard per reception?
But Alan Lazard's not our number one threat. He's not our number one threat, right?
Okay,
he's not, right? And if you go to Barnwell from ESPN, he gave a rating of teams and their composition of their skilled player positions, wide receiver, running back, quarterback, right? And to my surprise,
and he ranked them,
and he ranked them each team where they fell out with their skilled players on the offensive side of the ball. Wide receivers were rated were a higher rating factor than others, than running backs, and so the Jets ended up ahead when this ranking. They ended up at number 12 out of 32 teams. And I will tell you that for the fun fact out there, they are higher than the Chiefs. They are higher than the Cowboys. They are number 12. So I would tell you, now I'm going to jump back to Madden, right? Right now on their roster, Jets have 3 receivers in the top 76. They have 2 of rankings of overall wide receiver rankings in Madden. 3 receivers in the top 76, 2 in the top 25. Pretty good. Pretty good. Right? Sure. There's zero reason for adding another wide receiver to that mix. And we're not even talking about who may be, the Jets highlight reel, in a spread set of the Yak champion, right? We haven't even talked about him, right? Malachi Corley. He gets out there. Right. And so all these things together, there's no room in that wide receiver room for Davante Adams. There's no room in the pocketbook. There's no room. The ball only gets thrown away. We still have Conklin, who's a phenomenal receiving threat, right? It just makes no sense. And do you think, despite the fact, you think it's really going to make Garrett Wilson happy? As this is his money year. This is when he's got to make his money. And now he's got to fight to make his money with Davante. So there's no reason, right? They have the talent at wide receiver. I do believe, the Jets aren't, people have thought of Alan Lazard as the dead man tied your leg in a 3-legged race, right? We just got to drag him along because we owe him money. We don't want to cut him. I think with a competent quarterback play and Mike Williams, recognizing Breece Hall can catch the ball, we can make sure that he's going to get his catches. When he catches the ball, right, he produces. He is the deep threat. He's going to spread the field and open it up for Mike Williams and Garrett Wilson. So, whether it's Madden, the money, and then the other thing that people don't like to talk about is Davante Adams is on the downward slope of his career. He's 31 years old. And, he's a prototypical wide receiver. He likes to run his mouth, right? The Jets, right? There's things you need. You need to have the talent. You need to have the coaching. You need to have the team chemistry. And I don't think he adds to that.
Okay. All right. That's it. Yes. Davante Adams did express publicly his frustrations last season in the middle of that campaign with Las Vegas. That's true. Okay. Do you have more on this Davante Adams piece that you'd like to get off your chest?
No, I mean, it doesn't make sense in any aspect of anything across the board. And the Jets can use that money in a better way than blowing it on Davante Adams. They don't need that other weapon. They're already where they need to be. Last year, right, if the Jets had a adequate, a passable, a pedestrian backup quarterback, right, they would have broken the playoff drought.
Mm-hmm.
And so now they have added the pieces of the offensive line. They have got a good backup quarterback. They have added to the receiving core, right? So they have shored up, and then they have some bench strength on the offensive line. So they have done everything. And then now they still have the number one defense. So if I was going to do something, right, the strength of this team, just so everyone knows, is the defense. That's the strength of the team. If I was going to shore it up, that's where I would spend my extra money, not on, an extra toy for Aaron Rodgers to play with. It just doesn't make any sense. They have if they had this last year, they win 4 to 5 more games and make a deep playoff run. So no is the answer. It's a cool story, but no.
All right. So I wanted to make sure you got through your entire argument and laid out the fun facts and the evidence and things of that nature, because like I just tweeted right before the show, I didn't know I was going to have this clip come in, but you're not the only one that isn't a fan, potentially, of Davante Adams joining the Jets. This was a topic on Get Up. It's too long of a clip. I won't play it here on the show, but you guys can go to either of my social media portals. It's a 2+ minute clip on Twitter and Instagram, but I'll give you the highlights here. Damian Woody bluntly said it makes, quote, no sense. And he listed several reasons why. He wants to see Garrett Wilson with a legit quarterback. He said Mike Williams is the perfect complement to Garrett Wilson. And he openly asked, how many footballs are there to go around that if you add Davante Adams to everything else they have, how would that even work? Harry Douglas, a former NFL wide receiver, believes this conversation about Davante Adams is, quote, sliding the guys you have in the locker room. And he said if he was on the team, he would be bothered, as if he was a Jet right now, and then he was hearing the Davante Adams stuff outside the building from his quarterback and other players, he said that would bother him. Harry Douglas said then. Finally, Jeff Darlington, an ESPN NFL insider, said that this move is not in the cards right now, like it's not happening. We shouldn't waste our breath talking about it. And he openly asked if this is just a playful comment from Aaron Rodgers at a golf tournament, or is it another potential distraction with the immediate attention he drew to it. And then he said he seemingly suggested it was hypocritical from Rodgers, who said, hey, it's all about business, it's all about football, it's all about this. Yet his comment is what is adding fuel to the fire in the story. This is not me speaking. This is the Jeff Darlington quotes and things. I'm just kind of, pitching it to you guys. I'm playing the phone game. I heard it from Jeff, and I'm sharing it to you guys because, like I said, the clip's too long. So, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, if there was something I was going to do on the offense, right, and we haven't talked about this a lot, the Jets have a different offensive line, which is great, but they're also very, they haven't done a lot in running back, right? We had the failed Dalvin Cook experiment, which I believe, frankly, was a function of poor coaching. They should have, pound him. That's what he does. You pitch it out wide for some weird, pitch out play. No, you pound it up the middle. And so we're going to ask a lot of Breece Hall, and the rest of the running back room is a lot. And I think they made the right moves in the draft, just to be clear. It was weird. They got 2 pounders, but they did. but I think they made the right moves in the draft. If there's something to shore up, if there was a splashy name to bring in and somewhere plug and play in the offense, it's running back, not wide receiver, right? It's a compliment to Breece Hall. It's a guy at the tail. It's like a Zeke, only better, just to be clear, is what I'm like. It would have been, the Henry or somebody like, or the Eckler. That would have been a splashy play that would have made sense. Like, okay, we might be missing a piece here. We don't want to overly rely on these rookies. Obviously the rest of our running back room didn't really come to the table last year, so we're really relying on a healthy Breece Hall and then the people we drafted. So if there was something to do, it would have been running back in my head to really shore up. I don't think it's a weakness there. I think they had the right complement, but if you wanted to bring a piece of the team to a higher level, running back would have been where I would have gone.
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, the team's really high on the two young guys. That is Braylon Allen, the fourth-round draft choice out of Wisconsin, and then also Isaiah Davis, the Jackrabbit, who they added in the 5th round. That's right, South Dakota, baby. And then obviously you still have Izzy from last year, Izzy to the Hizzy, Pittsburgh. He was a 5th-round draft choice last year. And then they have the veteran, which is Tariq Cohen. Probably more so a special teamer, sort of like Justin Hardy's a corner, but he didn't play much corner. Tariq Cohen, I don't know if he's going to be involved heavily in the offense if he makes the team as is, but that could make sense. I think what a lot of fans are hoping is safety with Justin Simmons still hanging out there, but financially, I don't know how that one equates. He still remains a free agent here as you get a few more weeks away from camp. I'll just on the Davante thing to finish that off. Damian does make some good points about his argument for why not Davante Adams, about like in the offense that's currently constructed, Garrett Wilson is unquestionably the guy. When you bring Davante in, it's now a conversation of who's the guy, because obviously Davante Adams is more proven than Garrett Wilson. That's not breaking any news. And Mike Williams, you did add him this offseason, and there is only one football to go around. And thus, to your point, if there was frustration, like Davante Adams expressed frustration last year and they were winning and he was having issues because he said, it's funny how he said it, but he said, it's not an arrogant, selfish thing. I just am one of the best players on the team and I need to be involved. And because when you give me the ball, good things happen. It's basically the old T.O. thing he used to say. When I'm getting the ball and I'm scoring touchdowns, that's good for me and that's good for the team. It's good for everybody. So there is a little bit of that would be complicated. To be honest, Harry Douglas saying that the Davante Adams conversation outside the building is sliding guys. If they have that thin skin, then they're in the wrong sport.
Yeah, but wide receivers are known for that.
That's true. And to be honest, if they are offended, I hope they are, because use it as a chip, because I look at the wide receiver room and you love Garrett. Okay, Garrett Wilson's good. Hot take. That's why you came to the show, for analysis like that. Garrett Wilson's good. But Mike Williams coming off a torn ACL. You've got Malachi Corley, who's a rookie, so you never know rookie. Sometimes they can pop and be great immediately. Sometimes they can't. Xavier Gibson was an undrafted free agent. Jason Brownlee's an undrafted free agent. And Al Lazard came off a horrible year where he quit on the team at the end of the year. So, there's the wide receiving core, if you just look at it on the depth chart, go, oh, not bad. But if you really start to squint, you're like, ooh, God, there could be some cracks in this foundation. But I don't think it's, and I've said this before this week, but I'll reiterate, I don't think Davante Adams is a thing that would ever happen before the season anyway. The Raiders, everyone's 0-0. Everyone's hope and aspirations are high. The Raiders think they're going to contend. Spoiler alert, they won't. But they think they will. And then maybe we get to the trade deadline and the conversation's different. Maybe Mike Williams didn't come back from the ACL. Maybe Malachi Corley sucks initially. He's a rookie. And then all of a sudden, bubbling decisions happen. The Raiders implode. They're not very good. Then we can. But I don't think this would ever happen before the season by either team. I think the Jets believe in their guys, and I believe the Raiders from their side believe they're going to win. So, yeah. That's just what I would say on that. Anywho, so yes, any final thoughts on this Davante Adams conversation? We'll also open up the phone lines so people can bring that back up if they choose, but just any final quotes on that.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fun topic, but it does make a lot of sense now. Now, mid-year, who knows, right? Mike Williams isn't panning out. The Raiders are getting a little desperate. Then there's something we could, as we sit here today, does not make a lot of sense. But I think it's,
Okay. Well, before we get to the phone lines, Father, Normally, you bring a story to the table, and you're like, come on, gather around the fire, kids. Let me tell you a story. Okay. Well, this story in particular, people in the chat wanted your opinion on it. We have over 200 people in the room live right now on a Saturday. And I won't give it much preface before I just lay the video on you. But I will just say this. I called into the Rich Eisen show, the National Rich Eisen show, earlier this week. And, well, here's the clip. And a lot of people wanted your reaction to what's about to happen. So we're just going to roll the footage. Here we go. It was me calling the Rich Eisen show earlier this week.
Let's go to the phone line right now. This one interests me, and everybody on hold, don't worry. We're going to get to everybody on this show today. Paul in Syracuse, you're here on the Rich Eisen show. What's up, Paul?
Rich,
what's up?
It's great to be on the show.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for joining the program. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm going to be honest, Rich. Been a fan of the show for a long time.
Okay.
Really enjoyed it. But this is the first time I'm calling in.
All right.
And the reason being is, I'm on the website right now. You can see it on the social media. The call-in number is 844-204-RICH.
That's right.
Yeah. The problem is wow, it was pretty embarrassing. I didn't know how to call in to the rich part. You know what I mean? So I've attempted to call in before, and this is embarrassing to admit. I type in the 8, the 44, the 204, and then I'd be like, all right, let me try to type in Rich. Okay, that doesn't work. And then I just start yelling at the phone, Rich,
right.
Siri, Alexa, Rich. And, so finally I've gotten past that hurdle today for the first time in probably a decade or so. Yeah.
Congratulations, Paul. Should I change it to 844-204-PAUL? Would it have been easier for you to figure that one out, Paul?
7424. Yeah, it might have been an easier path.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Do you have problems with buttons in life otherwise, Paul? Or you're just not a button guy? Or you're more of a princess phone guy from back in the day? Is that what it is?
Makes it worse, you know?
Okay.
You know, I'm a radio host, so that's probably much.
You do sound like you've got the voice. You had like the. I was going to ask you if you were like a stand-up. You sort of had like that stand-up cadence going right there.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah, perhaps, never too late, Maybe I could get into that.
So is that it? I mean, were you calling in about calling in? Like, is that really what your subject is? Is that it?
Now that I've kind of checked it off the bucket list, I now feel more free. I feel like now I can call in a few more times more often. And what better way to start than calling about the start of the call for the call.
Paul in Syracuse going very deep with us. Thanks for the call, Paul.
Very meta.
Rhymed. Better call Paul.
Shout out 315.
Right here.
7424
right.
In case you also
See, I was wondering what that was about.
7424.
And I found out.
Yeah.
Just found out.
Calling in about calling.
All right.
Now, I want to make this perfectly clear because I did not apparently on the Rich Eisen show. Yes, I can spell the word rich. Thank you very much. It's on the screen. Hard to miss. R-I-C-H. But the problem is at one point in my childhood, I had a BlackBerry phone. And when you're texting on a BlackBerry phone, you have to hit digits multiple times to get to letters deeper on the phone. A, B, C. All right. 222, and then you get to a C. So then for Rich, I wasn't exactly sure how to do that when you're making a phone call. So like an infomercial, 1-800 call now, no idea how to call in. I had no idea how you were supposed to do that, but I have since learned and how I called into the Rich Eisen show. Apparently, it doesn't matter if it's the first letter, second letter, third letter on the little number pad. As long as you spell it out, it works. And there you go. So it's on a national TV show. Been on air. They're actually celebrating 10 years later this year. They're Rich Eisen. So people wanted your reaction to that. Yeah.
I'm speechless. Not at the fact that you're a moron. That does not, I'm not even surprised by that.
Yeah.
But it's actually just another confirmation. But it's really, not only would you show it on the Rich Eisen show, and you did a good job. You called yourself, Paul from Syracuse, but that you would like bring it back up for everyone to see.
Twice. Right? Yeah, twice. Twice on my show and then also on social.
By the way, I don't even understand what you just said about how you
Wait.
figured it out. But if you look at the phone,
Yeah.
if you look at the phone, look at underneath the numbers. You see what those are? Those
Yeah, but
are
there's-
letters.
But there's 3 letters. Okay, when you're texting on a BlackBerry, so
Oh my
8. I just
God.
saw the.
Stop
Just
talking,
listen,
please.
I
No,
just
I
saw
understand
the.
what you're saying.
Well, you just said you didn't understand, so I was trying to
I
explain.
don't understand why you're such a moron, and then that you
Well,
shout it from the hilltop.
Well, I feel like there are more people that are on my camp. I haven't heard from them yet. Maybe they're the silent few, but there's more people that also did not know how to call into these shows or infomercials or anything. I know I'm not alone. That's why I felt like I was speaking for the unspoken. They needed a voice, and I was willing to be that voice.
So my take on that is embarrassment.
I see.
Okay. So, but yes, wow.
Yep.
Wow.
That was my first interaction. I've never called the Rich Eisen show before, so that is his first impression of me forevermore, as I call in as Paul from Syracuse.
You might want to. You should have started with like Maurice from Syracuse, and then you could have gone through a list of names because now he's going to type out. Now, when you're on the phone lines, right? I'm not
That's
sure
what he's going to remember. Yeah,
he's gonna. This Paul from Syracuse. Skip that one.
He could. That's possible. That could happen.
Right, because even if at some point if you had some valuable content, which has to eventually happen, if you had something of value to say, he's never going to hear it. So you should have like a pseudonym, like when players check into a hotel, they say that, I'm Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, a pseudonym. That's what you need to do next time. Not when you go out there and you're throwing out there your questionable things. You just don't. My name is Paul Andrew Esden Jr. I live at 124th blah 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 street in Oswego. My phone number is this.
Well, I will tell you, because like if people pay attention to my Twitter, I am as open as a book. It's Paul Andrew Esden Jr. And when the calling guy asked, that's what I said. I'm like, hey, who are you? I'm like, I'm Paul Andrew Esden Jr. I'm calling from this. And then they just simplify it for the graphics. They just go, okay, Paul and Syracuse, all I heard. Boop, boop. And then that was it. But by the way, for people to show some love, there is a new emoji in the chat. And to honor this forever, Rich Eisen phone emoji. Feel free to use it for all our members. Boy Green Coffee Club. We got all kinds of wonderful stuff in here. We got the Elroy banana former nickname. We got the One Jet Drive Twitter doc. Some zoinks in there. Some bananas being lost. Coffee mug. Those emojis out there. Rich Eisen. The sweet passionate lovemaking. This one, a lot of people have said is disturbing. And there you go. And some snowball action. So, yes, feel free to use all those emojis. Great people. There you go. Booyah. So that happened. Yep.
That happened.
Yeah, there you go. Well, way to go, Terrence.
Merch.
That's true. That is true. Yes. So feel free. Get the merch. It's in the YouTube description down below.
Hey,
all
what
right,
was the number we ended up with? Or we tallied the numbers for the game?
For tickets?
Yeah.
Yeah, 25. We're going to have a full, how the Jets set it up is we will have a full row of people sitting with us, horizontally speaking. It'll be 25. They were trying to get a 12-12 because that'd be more intimate. You have 12-12, 2 rows, on top of each other. You could look behind you and see people that are in our group. But for whatever reason, they couldn't do that. So we're all going to be 25 straight. So that'll be a little harder. I'll have to look down. Hey! When we're all sitting together, but hopefully people really get their kick, obviously, at the tailgate, which is before, and we'll get to do all that jazz. But yeah, 25 tickets in all, and so it's spectacular.
Hopefully, I get the end seat, so when the guy 24 deep orders a beer and they pass it down.
Oh, right? I see. But
yes.
Also,
you don't want to be the 24th guy.
Well, this is a good question because we haven't doled out who's sitting where yet. That'll be up to Nick Shine. He gets all the tickets and gets to dole them out like that. But what's the right seat? Because if you're at the end, that means you have to get up every time someone has to take a piss. But if you're somewhere in the middle, that's probably not great either if you want to get concessions at any point. So what is the best seat of a 25-seat row group?
The end seat's the best seat.
Even still, if you have to get
right.
up.
They make these seats for 7-year-old children, right? And so nobody on the phone, neither of us, right? The seat's not designed for man-sized right?
I see.
If you get picture this.
Okay.
You in the middle of myself, Johnny, and Woody, right?
I see immediately.
So on the end, you can lean over. You can give yourself. You get up every once in a while. That's fine. But you can also always, if the person in front of you wears like a sombrero or something, or one of those big jet hats with a plane, you can also lean over, and all of a sudden there's nobody in front of you. Right? I mean, even when you bring the phone book for yourself to sit on, so you can see over the head of the person in front of you. Yes, yeah, the end seat's always the best.
Okay,
and yes, Bobby is going to have at least a 10-person separation from your mom.
Okay. I see Jared B., our moderator, has put that in there. Just keep Bobby away from the wife, which, by the way, the phone lines are now open. That is pinned to the top of YouTube, youtube.com/boygreen25. Let's bring in Bobby. What's up, Bobby?
Talking of the devil, I'm here. How you doing? I heard what you said, Pops. What are you talking about? I'll behave myself.
All right. Hey, Bobby, by the way, you could have the last lawn chair on the planet that is made of that crisscross old school fabric.
Yeah, I cleaned it off. It's all clean now.
Oh, that's good. And wait, Bobby,
did
I understand?
The other day, yeah, I cleaned it up.
Nice job, Bobby. Is it you and your brother coming? Is that what I heard?
Yeah,
correctly?
me and my brother coming. Yeah, you get to meet Mikey for the first time.
Oh, Mikey. Okay, great.
Yeah,
Bobby,
his name
Mikey.
is Yep.
Okay, great.
When
All right.
the car driving 5 o'clock in the morning, we're gonna get start and get down by 9 o'clock.
Okay, I can't.
There you
wait.
go. Coming from the 802. You don't hear that very often.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think hopefully if we need him during the 6 week, we get Davante Adams. That will be good, right?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, of all the options, the mid-season before the trade deadline.
Yeah,
that could
throw
make
in all the
check
chips at that time, right? Like Coughlin did with the New York Giants. He threw all the chips in.
Yeah.
And they won.
Why not be aggressive? I feel like either way. So if the Jets are doing really well, they could convince themselves this is the all-in move to get them over the top. Or if they're struggling somewhat, I don't mean like imploding. Like I'm not talking about 3-6. Then your season's over. I mean like 5-4, 6-3, something like that. They're like, hey, we're in a little bit of a rut. This can get us out of it. So no matter what happens with the Jets outside of it imploding, I think they could convince themselves to do the move. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. That will be great. And I can't wait till the game starts. We get to see all of you guys.
Yeah, prime
It's going to be a great time.
Oh, yeah.
Your wife is calling Pops too?
Yes, she is.
Okay, I'll behave myself. You could tie me to the chair if you have to.
No, I'm confident you'll behave yourself. I have no doubt.
No, I will. She's a nice lady.
She absolutely is.
Yeah, so you guys are good guys too.
I appreciate that, Bobby.
You have a great day, and I'll see you later.
All right, Bobby. Bobby Midnight. Have a great day.
All right, there he is. I saw that the CEO of Orange Chair Productions, what's that seat behind him? That was his name underneath his name. Bobby.
I saw that.
Joining us on the video call-in line. Let's go back to it. We've got our boy Hep, who's eating some wonderful breakfast. I wish I could have some myself. What do we got? English muffin, maybe? What's happening there? Hep, what's up?
I had a Brooklyn bagel.
Oh, wow.
That's bagel. Anyway, I was wondering, would you guys, with Davante, I mean, I agree it would only happen after, the middle of the season, before the trade deadline. But would you go all in with Davante, knowing that it may compromise the future health of the team, the future strength of the team going down? My opinion is, I mean, I'm 62 years old, so I want my Super Bowl before I'm in the box, so I'm all in. Let's go. Let's do it. What's your opinion?
I don't think it. I think if you brought him in now, it could affect the chemistry in the locker room. If you brought him in mid-year when maybe the Jets needed that, the last piece to get him over the hill, and then it's clearly a rental situation as opposed to, I think that there's a lot of upside to that, and I don't think it would be detrimental to the team. Bringing him in now, and then now what are you doing? Midseason is clearly a rental, and I think that would be fine.
I would hope, even if it jeopardizes some of the future, that Joe Douglas would still make the right moves. And we all want the core four to stay. But I think there are levels to the core four. As long as he keeps the levels, you're willing to pay the iron price to have the chance at the chip, basically.
Would you consider giving a number one pick, that following year's number one pick to get him?
That'd be tough, but if you're in the position you think that's going to be pick 32. And if you could give pick 32 for a guy that you think can help, it's going to be on your own confidence level. In a general sense, but again, this would be midseason, so you'd have a much better sense of where that pick's going to be. But to have that opportunity to push it over the top, like the only thing that I look at with the 2025 first, because again, we don't know how long Rodgers is going to play. He's continually said it won't be one and done, and last year doesn't count. So it sounds like he's committed for 2 years, 2024 and 2025, outside of something crazy. But it would be nice in the back pocket to have the potential future first round quarterback of the Jets to be able to get plugged in. If you lose that, we're banking on Tyrod Taylor turns 35 in August, and then Jordan Travis, who's 24, and his leg exploded. Sorry, Ricky, wherever you are, too soon. So, I'd like to still have that in my back pocket as another option in the quarterback market. But hey, you want to know what? We should just go for it, and I'll give up the first because you want to know what? If it doesn't work out with Aaron Rodgers, we're taking Dak Prescott, baby. He's coming over after he's a free agent. So it works out either way.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
All right, Hep, you're the best, buddy. And yeah, so I've been hearing that conversation. Speaking of the Rich Eisen show, they talked about it, about if the Cowboys don't sign Dak before this year starts, then he is incentivized basically to play him out and get the most maximum value, which would be him hitting the open market and then just figuring it out. He could go back to Dallas, but he could go anywhere to any price, any place, and I'll be first in line. If the Rodgers thing collapses like a used lawn chair, sign me up for Dak Prescott, baby. I know some people don't like Dak. I don't know why. It's pretty gosh darn good.
Yeah, I don't understand the hatred there. There's a lot of reasons why, and it's weird that he gets it and Justin Herbert doesn't get it, or he gets it, or pick your plethora of players that have not racked up the wins. Right, his rookie season he came in and he won 13 in a row. I mean, so
this,
who knows what's going to happen.
So Phil is a Jet fan. He says pass on Dak. Let me just give you a taste of what Dak has done in his career. Let's just go last year. 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 4,500 yards passing, 69.5% completion percentage. Let me put that into perspective. That would be the highest passing yards in Jets single season history. That would be the most passing touchdowns in Jets single season history. His career, where he's played like 7, 8, 9 years, whatever, he came in 2016. This is career numbers: 67% completion percentage, nearly 30,000 passing yards, 202 touchdowns to 74 pick. What part of that exactly do you want to pass on? I just don't understand. If people bring up the playoffs and all that other stuff, was it his fault that the Cowboys defense was Swiss cheese and gave like 40 billion points to Jordan Love? Sorry to bring that back up, Pop, but for Pete's sake, what are we blaming Dak here for some of this? That's the same conversation you could have with Aaron Rodgers and all the points his defenses gave up in all those times. I'm not saying Dak is purely immune. He was perfect, and he never made a mistake in a playoff game. That's not what I'm saying. But when we just say pass on Dak because, it's all his fault for all of these playoffs, that's, to me, too aggressive. But, like I said, if I'm the Cowboys, I pay him now because, he has you bent over the barrel. You'd rather have Dak at $1 kajillion than not having Dak at all and then rolling the dice on Trey Lance? So if I'm the Cowboys, you got to pay him before the year because he has the leverage. It just is what it is. That's how it worked out by waiting to pay him the first time, the franchise tag game, how the other contract worked out. You just have no choice.
Yeah, and, if the Cowboys do let him go away, and I hope they don't, if they do, think of the value you got out of a 4th-round pick. I
guess that's one way to put it.
But one of the most overrated and impactful stats in the NFL is interceptions. There are so many things. The average fan thinks of interceptions like you and Johnny in the backyard. How did you throw that ball there? Well, most of the time you have no idea where the receiver is supposed to go. Did the receiver half-ass it, so to speak? Did he not run his full speed that he runs in the practice? Who knows what it is, right? So, but to blame most of those on the quarterback is insane. And, when he has that 350-pound guy that's about to eat his lunch, and he throws the ball and he just, touches your arm with a finger as you're releasing the ball, that ball ends up 5 yards in a different direction. Is that your fault? Interceptions, I'm not just talking about that, I'm talking about in general, right? It's way slanted to the quarterback when there's so many factors. You really got to dissect them and just to go back and look at interceptions. Now, there are some clear, like, what are you doing? But in general, that's a way overrated stat.
Yeah, I see Rich has this comment on YouTube. Paul, how can we pay the core 4 and pay Dak at 50 plus? By the way, that's 60 plus. That starts with a 6, pal. That's what Dak Prescott's getting from the Cowboys or somebody else. Go ahead.
And by the way, just like wide receivers, until the owners, and I'm not, until the owners do to the quarterback what they did to the running back, this is what you're going to pay. The highest paid quarterback is going to be the next man up. These, not great quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence, these not great quarterbacks are going to get this, maximum dollar value. It's not, you're going to pay $50-60 million, and then that's what you're going to pay for quarterbacks. So your salary cap is $250 million, or next year it'll be higher. But you're going to pay $60 million a quarterback. So your salary cap is really $190 million. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then, you got to hope for the best. But you're going to pay. But the average quarterback salary in the next 5 years is going to be, 20 to 25% of the team's cap. I mean, that's just what it is.
I think a common misconception with this core 4, and of course, for those less inclined, we're talking about the 2022 draft class for the Jets, where it was Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, and Jermaine Johnson in no particular order. You don't have to pay the core 4 all at once. Next year, they're all eligible to speak for the first time. They can't talk about it now. Even if Garrett wanted a new deal right now, tough rocks. The Jets can't do it. It's in the NFL CBA. So they could begin the conversations starting next year. So they don't have to pay them all for it at the same time. And then the Dak thing, if that were to come about, what Joe Douglas, and again, above my pay grade, it's up to Joe Douglas. I could talk about it on the show and these radio shows and these kind of digital shows and things of that nature. You're going to have to space it out. It's very unlikely all 4 of the core 4 are going to be paid together next year. He's going to want to space it out. He's going to have to determine who is utmost priority. Let's just get Sauce out of the way. Is it Breece, actually, as we've had Ricky in New York say before? Because technically speaking, he's the closer to free agency first because he was a non-first-round pick, which probably bothered him initially, but it's going to work out in the long run because he'll probably get his money sooner, is that he was a second-round draft choice, which means it's a 4-year standard contract, which means after this season, he has only 1 year left on his deal, and that is the 2025 season. Is he the guy that you pay first because of that nature? Or do you play the franchise tag game with him? I don't know. There's a million questions, but what I can say is you can absolutely pay the core 4 in theory, a Dak or any quarterback, to use that as the example. You just have to space it out properly. You have to be good at GMing, good at the salary cap management, and obviously the cap is exponentially going up every year, especially in the post-COVID era where we've done a lot of catching up and the money's been surging to levels we've never seen before. So it's certainly possible, Rich. Don't just let it destroy you. Oh, the numbers, the money, the this. 1,000% you can pay those guys if you make the right decisions. And again, maybe Davante Adams thing affects that later down the line. Go ahead.
Yeah, the four are really going to sort themselves out. It's very fortunate that that there's no need to pay him this year, right? Because now you're going to really separate the wheat from the chaff. It's going to really separate themselves out. What's Wilson really going to look like with a competent quarterback? Now we're going to see. What's Breece Hall really going to look like for a second full year? I'm glad we don't have to pay them now because we don't really know. We like for Sauce, we're very confident what we have. That contract, but these other two, really another full year of really okay. Now, what are you bringing to the table? Right? We think we know what they're going to bring to the table, but with the team, what we expect the output to have, then you're going to be able to prioritize. Right? Of those four, Sauce is one to me that you clearly already know what you have, and that's the one you got to work on. The other ones you're really gonna this year will play out. We may be talking a year from now, like, wow, I'm glad we didn't. I'm glad we didn't sign Breece Hall to the contract as XYZ. Maybe I'm not picking on him. I'm just saying for an example, right? You need to have the run time. And so it's a good situation to be in, frankly. And then, like you said, you space it out. You don't have to do all four at once. All right, all four at once, right? We'll move all the chips on the table, space it out, leverage it out, and structure the contracts so that's 4 separate things that interwoven help you out.
Yeah, and I would throw Jermaine Johnson in that group as well. He's got another one we don't know. 2.5 sacks rookie year, didn't play a lot. Last year, 7.5 sacks, looked awesome as a more all-around player. Does he jump into the double-digit sack category? That would change my perception of pay. Is he just, and again, I say this with all due respect, just a 6-7 sack guy, and that's always what he's going to be? That's actually what I thought when he was drafted. I thought that was his ceiling. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. But if he is or isn't, that changed my perception of his money. Again, to all your point with Garrett and Breece, I agree with all those guys. Again, when you get a competent quarterback, do they jump to another level? Do they not? I don't know, but that will do it. Also, a lot of people are very offended. Davante, the Jet, Pop says, we a lot. I see Taylor Sterling aggressively says, Pop is not one of us. Go back to Dallas, pal. I think this is only going to motivate you to say we more, quite frankly.
It's weird that somebody that obviously is a cheesehead with a logo with a picture of Green Bay is talking about me, saying that's like that. Yeah, thanks. That actually you just put in perspective the value we should do to your contribution to the show. So thank you. We appreciate it.
There you go. Let's go back to the phone lines. We've got Ricky New York live, baby, here on the program. What a great hat.
That's a nice hat.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. And, I think this is much to do about nothing, the Davante thing. And it would affect us later on down the road, bringing him in. I don't think he's going to come here and play for peanuts just to play with Aaron again. So I don't know. Personally, I'm happy with where we're at right now. I don't think we should be in a big rush to go and do anything. I think Gibson's going to take a big step this year. From everything I'm hearing, he's kind of turned the corner, and he's going to have a role. And I think we should see what we got. I don't think we should be in a big rush to do anything. And
yeah.
Paul, lucky for you, a lot of us out here are button people, so we're able to hit that like for you and able to subscribe to your channel.
Yes, that's true. I appreciate that. I appreciate people are more advanced in that department than apparently I am. Thank God. That keeps the lights on. So thank you for your contributions, everybody out there.
You're very welcome, and that is gonna stick with me though. That line. So you're not a button guy.
Yeah, then I'm like, I was in radio. I thought he was going to really go to town on me and go, wait a second. Whoa. You're a radio guy and he didn't know how to do the buttons to get, I thought he was really going to ream me, but he did not. So maybe he did that after I left the show. That's certainly possible.
It was just astounded.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, tough.
Well, that probably wasn't the call he was expecting that morning, I would think.
I would imagine not. Yeah. I would imagine not. Because, I think I don't know because I never saw it, obviously, but one of the guys screaming and he said, what's your name, where you calling from? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, so what do you want to talk about? I'm like, well, this is probably going to sound odd, but calling in about calling in. And he just laughed and went, oh, this will be great. Boop. And put me on hold. So I imagine, at our radio station, when someone calls in, Ricky, you call in, it goes, Ricky New York Live wants to talk Florida State. And it would say it on the screen. So I imagine the calling about calling. He was like, what the hell? And then he probably went to it quicker, I guess, because of that fun fact. So, yeah. But probably not what he was expecting, I would imagine, no. So we'll see if I plan on calling in next week about something with the Jets. So we'll see if he immediately remembers. And if so, that's probably not a good thing. But neither here nor there.
All right. I'm still awake. I just came in from work, and well, I'll tell you what, I'm surprised to see Bobby calling in first thing today. Like, well, I was literally at work last night, and I think I caught the very end of his show at like 4:45 in the morning or something.
What a freak!
Yeah, it sounds like they had a marathon again last night.
Wow.
But
God bless.
That's
He's a
some
trooper.
determination to stay on like that.
That's for sure.
At any rate, guys, I really don't have much for you this morning. That was about it.
I appreciate it.
I had to call in and weigh in on that. But you
Thanks,
guys
Ricky.
have a great day.
Thanks for
All right,
pushing
you
the
too.
buttons.
Yeah, we appreciate it. It helps keep the lights on, which a healthy reminder to the 300 people in the room. Make sure you press that button, like the video, hit subscribe down below. And if you're really in the button pressing mood, you can hit the join the coffee club button. Feel free for $2.99 a month, or quite frankly, just share it. You guys can gift those out to others. That would be wonderful. And Terrence Hill says, shout out to Bobby, who gave Terrence Hill a free membership. Yeah, you get a free month trial, get a free taste, and if you like it, like I said, it's an email that gets sent over to you, and you can keep it going. By the way, Deb, by the time we talk next week, this thing I'm about to say will have already happened, and it's been a long time, Father. It's been a decade. The college football video game will be out. I believe Monday is the come out thing. We used to do that every summer. So the college football video game, baby, it's back.
Nice.
Which is great. Oh, wait, actually, it looks like we got one more caller in here, so let's roll to the phone lines. We've got Neil Sr. here. What's up, Neil?
How you doing, Paul?
Hey, what's up?
Nothing much. Paul Sr. I wanted to make a comment. I'm 63, 55 plus year Jet fan.
Wow.
You've seen me on the Jake. I'm on Jake Asman's show
Yes.
primarily. You know, that's me with the cigar, and I'm the ultimate optimistic Jet fan, and it's a
Okay.
rarity. I know I've seen your dad on a couple of times, and Paul Senior, you're kind of like most of the guys I know that are in my category that are spent, really more of the pessimistic nature. What I want to know what your thoughts are. I'm talking to Senior now, Paul. I'm sorry
Yes,
to kind of put
No,
you to
no,
the
please.
side.
Yeah, this is
But
great.
I want to know, Paul Senior. I didn't listen to you for a long time. Seen you on the show a couple of times. I'm not normally looking at my TV 7:30 in the morning, but I woke up 5, made sweet passionate love to my wife at 5 in the morning, and then I couldn't get back to sleep. But anyway, I'm quoting your son's line from a while back that I heard many times on Jake's show. But anyhow, what's your thoughts, Paul Senior, about this year? I want to hear your thoughts, start to finish. Where are we going to be?
Start to finish, Jets remain healthy. They're going to go get 11 or 12 wins, and really the last 4-game stretch against the 5-game stretch, 2 against Miami, 1 against Buffalo at the end, is really going to turn whether they're a wild card team or win the division. I think there will be a wild card team, but it's not like a lock, but I think they have an opportunity at the division. So yeah, I have 11, 12 wins in the playoffs, either with a division or a wild card.
Okay. Because let's put it this way. I've been excited about our team a lot, but mostly, I'm always excited. I thought we'd run the table when we had our first 8 losses and a Rich Kotite season. I still thought we would win, even though we went 1-14, whatever it was, 1-15, 1-13. What was the Rich Kotite year? 1-13. We had 14-game season back then, or was it 16?
Yeah, let me get that. I'll get that for you. Yeah, it should have been 16, I think. But let me see.
What was that year with Kotite? We won 1 game. That was wonderful.
Yeah. Where was that? Oh, there it is. 1-15, 96. How did I not remember? Obviously,
Right.
because we got the number 1
1-15,
pick in 97. Yeah, right. Yeah.
That was quite a year. But anyway, my feeling is, I've been excited a few times. When I say excited, realistically excited for a chance to, win a Super Bowl. And I think roster-wise, this is the best team I think we've ever put on the field, roster-wise. Now, talking about this Davante Adams thing, when you're in an all-in year, which obviously this is an all-in year, next year's an all-in year, as long as Aaron Rodgers is going to be behind center, I think gives us a real fighting chance to win win it all. And when you talk about Dak Prescott, I want to say one thing, Paul Jr. Stats really mean a lot, but they don't really mean everything, because if you're going to put Dak Prescott in a big spot, he's not going to really come through. He's proven time and time again in a big spot, he's going to throw a big interception more likely than he's going to have a big drive and win a big game. That's important. And that's where Aaron Rodgers, Dan Marino, John Elway, right, Paul Sr.? When you think of the big quarterbacks in a big spot, there's, Aaron Rodgers gets put in that category, where you can't put a guy like Dak Prescott in that category because he just hasn't done it. And there's a lot of quarterbacks like that are not the big game, big spot, clutch quarterbacks. And clutch is a big word. Like Joe Burrow has proved that he's a clutch guy. Aaron's a clutch guy. Mahomes is a clutch guy. Who in your mind, aside from those three, are really a clutch quarterback that you could say in a big game right now is going to be a guy you want to put under center with 3 minutes left to go down and have a winning drive? Who in your mind right now in the NFL, Paul Sr., would you put in that category?
Also, while he's thinking about that, the only thing I want to say is, John Elway, everyone remembers the end, but he was 2-3 in Super Bowls. There was a couple of choke jobs there early before we got to the back-to-back. But yes, Father, go ahead. Give me his answer there.
Yeah, 2-3 is still pretty good. And when you talk about it, does Dan Marino fall into what we're talking about here? Mm-hmm. Where does he fall out?
I'd say
he didn't win the big
games. He's in that category. I've seen enough clutch play out of him. I think his inability to win a Super Bowl really just doesn't have to do with him, but more the team.
No, you're right on. And I will tell you that, to wrap up the beginning of the conversation, where do I think the Jets are at? There's like 3 or 4 key components to a team. The Jets have the talent, the team chemistry, and in the area that is most concerning is the coaching, is what I think is going to hold the Jets back. They don't have the top flight coaching staff. But I think you name the quarterbacks that are the clutch quarterbacks. Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. I think those are the kind of prototypical clutch quarterbacks. And there's a lot of other ones that are on the cusp of breakthrough. Lamar Jackson is right there knocking on the door of being able to break through. But there's not a lot. You get top 10% quarterbacks in NFL, you only get 3 of them, right? So
I just think that right now I think we have the guy that, and again, there's a lot to talk about with regard to Rodgers and his age and everything else. But, I look at him and I say, and I've been a huge proponent of getting him last year, when I heard the Jets talk about Derek Carr, about all these other guys, I said, look, we have one chance to get somebody with this roster that could put us over the top, and he's certainly the guy. But I could just tell you, I'm super, super excited about the season, and I think we're going to go all in. I mean, you have to go all in. So I agree that the Davante Adams thing would be more of a distraction if we brought him into camp right now than he would be a help. But certainly once we get those and again, we're going to know where we are after the first 6 or 7 games. I mean, if we're not at minimum, 4-2 after 6, something's got to be wrong, because we're certainly way more talented than in the first 6 games that the teams we're facing. I mean, the only team I could really see us in the first 6 games being an underdog in is the San Francisco game. Other than that, we'll probably be.
We'll see on Buffalo week 6, but that one will probably be close.
Even that game, we're going to be a favorite. If we
should be, we're at home. Yeah, we'll see.
Not only are we home, I mean, we have Buffalo's number, and it's going to be Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen. Again, he doesn't have the weapons he had last year. The defense is taking a step back. And I think, again, that's not a team that if I was the Buck, take the name off the helmet, because Paul Sr., we know we all have these things that creep into our mind, and the superstitions and the fact that we're Jet fans and we're cursed. We all believe we're cursed. We all believe we're never going to win a Super Bowl, and we all believe that it's just a Jet thing. Okay, what does it say underneath, Paul Sr.? A Jet thing or something?
Jets being Jets.
Jets being Jets. Okay, that's the typical line of a 50-year plus Jet fan. Jets being Jets. We always think something's going to happen. It's inevitable that it's going to happen, that we're going to have something that's going to F up the whole system, whether it be the coaching. Now, to talk about the coaching, one thing about, and again, I believe Joe Douglas certainly is the best GM we've had. Arguably, maybe you could say Tannenbaum was a good one in the last 20 years. But again, he's had his share of screw ups. But I kind of like Joe. The only thing I could say about Joe Douglas is, and I really think there's more to it than Joe Douglas last year, not getting a quarterback that's competent enough to get us, a few wins during the time we really needed it. I think it wasn't just him. I think it had to do with the ownership, and I think there was more to this whole Zach Wilson thing with the JetBlue association with they just babied him way too much, and I think there was more to it than it was more up to the Woody Johnson thing than it was with Joe Douglas, because I don't think he's stupid enough not to go get a quarterback that could at least get us a few wins. What do you think there, Paul Sr.?
Yeah, no, I agree.
More to that?
Yeah, no, I think it's that simple.
You think it was just that simple, that he didn't want to get a quarterback and he felt that he could run the gambit with Zach Wilson and the quarterback room we had?
Yeah. I mean, otherwise, that's only I mean, it doesn't. It in retrospect doesn't make sense, but that's almost the only thing you could,
or else he would have done it. Right. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. It's just hard for me to believe that they just looked at those three quarterbacks and said, well, we could win. Looking at it as a fan, I said to myself, look, let's go with Simeon. We could have had Simeon in there earlier. I thought he certainly would have done a more adequate job than what we had there. In hindsight, he was 2-1. He certainly could have won one of the two games that we had. That other, what was his name? The other backup.
Boyle.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was atrocious. I mean, we knew that going in. I could have put Boyle in. Look, Bill Belichick would have had Boyle in for one quarter, and he would have taken him out of the game. Does anybody excuse that?
No, there was one person.
Game. Forget about
one person on this show that was high on Boyle. He was like, let him boil. Oh, that was you, Boy Green.
I'm optimistic by nature.
I don't listen to your son much, but
that's
I
probably
a smart
move. Yeah.
He said he wanted to boil with Boyle. Well,
he did. He's like, let him boil.
Oh,
that's an actual reenactment. Let him boil.
Okay, I just want to make this clear. Again, I'm an optimistic guy. Whoever the Jets trot out, I want to believe that they're
agree.
going to
I'm
help
the same
us.
way. Look, I was optimistic, hoping that Zach would turn it around. I was always thinking that Hackenberg might have been a good quarterback. Who the hell? We all think that to some degree, but once your eyes get onto the TV set, it changes.
There's only one person on the planet that's ever worn the Zach is good shirt twice.
I see. Well, that was a keeper, but got a lot of pictures in Dallas when I wore that down there in AT&T. But
again, like I said, here's the problem, Paul Sr. At some point, when you look, it's much easier to be a pessimistic Jet fan than an optimistic, because the pessimistic has been right 90% of the time, and us optimistic men, like your son's optimistic, like I am, we're always wrong. But at some point, we're going to be right.
That's
and
it.
I can say this,
baby.
This
He's
is
optimistic.
This is it. The blind squirrel finds the nut. we have a tremendous season. I predicted 17-0 for. I'm going to say we're going to run the table right through to the Super Bowl. That's
Boom.
my projection. Now, if all things granted, it's all health related. But I will say this: you take the Jet name off that helmet, Paul Senior, and I said to you, "Here's 4 rosters in the AFC East." You would say, "Jesus Christ!" Without a question, that team right there, that roster with the green. That's the best roster in the AFC. There's no question they should win. All things equal.
Yeah, we'll see if that ends up being the case. Neil, thanks for the call, brother. And I know my father has to get out of here. I will hang on. We have one last caller, but I'm sure you got to get to your bacon right there, Pap.
Yeah, you can still push buttons. You figured that out.
Nice. Okay, so but Dad, I guess you go enjoy your bacon. I will take this last call here.
All right,
there he is, Esden Zone, tuning in, and let's it's royalty joining us, baby. King Lowski, preacher of the realm. What's up, King?
Paul, my brother. It's always good to see you in the morning, man. I'm kind of disappointed your pops ran from me to go get his bacon.
yeah, I saw that. That coincidence? I think not.
But it's all good, baby. I just wanted to say a couple things, man. As far as the whole Davante Adams thing, man, it's not a necessity. It's not. But when you think about the team that's currently constructed, and you think about teams in the past, as far as the Rams and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, how they went all in and said F the picks and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? It's probably not a bad idea to explore that option. You know what I'm saying? Let's not really down the thought of having a Davante Adams. You know what I'm saying? But let me just say this to your pops while he eating his bacon. I'm one of the younger Jet fans. I know a lot of y'all old farts out there have been suffering for a long time. You know what I'm saying? But I just want to say this, man. Pop, you're going to have to let go of one of these hurts. You know what I'm saying? You got the Cowgirls on one side and you got the Jets on the other. That's a lot of hurt for you, Pop. So I just want to say at this juncture, as far as the Jets are concerned, Pop, we're not with the negative vibes, man. All right? We only positive over here because we know that at the end of the day, we've been realistic for years. Okay, we haven't been talking Super Bowl. We've been talking playoffs. We've been saying, man, can we get that wild card? Can we finally get over the hump with one of these sorry quarterbacks and that damn child we had 3 years up till last year? So you know what I'm saying? But this year is a whole nother year. Okay, this is a whole nother optimism because we've never seen a 4-time MVP Hall of Fame quarterback play for this team. Okay, we never seen a Hall of Fame quarterback that wants to play for the Jets. All right, just like your pop had under his name Jet, same old Jets or whatever that's it. That's not the case no more, man. We're not thinking that. That's not the mentality going into the season. Okay? The mentality is staying healthy, making sure the team is primed and ready to win this damn division and make a deep playoff push, unlike Miami's sorry ass we're gonna celebrate 25 years of them winning no playoffs. Okay? So at the end of the day, man, the mentality of the Jets is different. All right, it ain't no same old Jet bullshit. It ain't happening. Not this year, not going forward, okay? It's a different team. It's a different airspace, okay? Now, at the end of the day, baby, all of the negative Jet fans, y'all can get y'all ass on, okay? Because real Jet fans know, hey, this our year, and we primed and ready to make a deep playoff push and win this damn Super Bowl, baby. All right? Jesus! Yes!
The king has graced us with his presence. And yeah, that's one of the greatest things I've ever seen is the Jake Asman show. Calm yo freaky down. There it is. Dakota J, Clarence, and so many others jumping in there. Terrence and Dakota and so many others saying that for King Lowski. Calm yo freaky down, Bobby. And all the others. Wonderful. Well, everybody, thanks for joining us on today's show. Nearly 400 people live in the room right now for near hour and a half program. Thank you. Like the video. Hit subscribe. Show your support for the channel. We'll be back on tomorrow morning for another edition of Boy Green Daily. And guys, stay tuned. We should have some superstar guests on the program next week. And one hasn't been on the show in a while. Maybe another one hasn't ever been on the show. So we'll see how all those guests line up. I won't start name dropping or anything of that nature. We got to get those babies in the bank before we do that. But we got some big guests coming up. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. God bless, and we'll see you.